Good evening, gentle listener, and welcome to Distractible. This episode, writer Bob gets into Mr. Musk's briefs and calls for compassion. Wheezy Wade pawns bull, then playfully propagandizes and becomes Frozone. Mammalian Mark solves the riddle steel, lords watch duty, and relates the harrowing tale of man's deadliest foe. With hurricanes countering blamestorming and Cali pride. From storage sims to buying American. It's time for Knives, Fire, and Pickup Trucks. Now sit back and prepare to be distracted and enjoy the show.
As Wade takes a huge drink, hello and welcome to another episode of your favorite podcast. This is Distractible, and I am your host for today. I forgot my name. I blanked for, it was like half a second, but I did pull a blank. My name is Bob. Is that right?
Yeah.
If you've never seen the show before, I'm the host because I won the last one. And the two other guys who are here will be competing to host the next one.
Hello.
Wade's too busy drinking. He didn't say hi to you guys.
No, I accidentally hovered over that part of my screen that makes the news panel populate, and it covered my entire screen with loading news panels.
Makes the news panel populate? What operating system do you use?
Windows 11?
Ugh. Anyway, I'm the judge. I give points. Usually I lie. The points don't really matter. It's all very arbitrary, but it's not, though, because we have a constitution. So there's rules and we follow them very strictly. You usually start with small talk. I think for no apparent reason, Wade probably should do small talk first today before we get into whatever Mark has going on. Wade, how you doing?
I'm doing great, man. I've got a new game, Sweeping the Nation, that everyone needs to play.
I have a bad feeling about this.
It's called Storage Hunter Simulator, where you go to different storage units and you get involved in an auction to buy whatever's in that unit. And then you go and you sell it to pawn shops and you eventually buy and own your own pawn shop. And it just keeps escalating. I'm 20 hours in after like 3 or 4 streams, and I'm absolutely addicted to it. Path of Exile is still great. Still love it, by the way.
I thought you were just go straight for Path of Exile. I'm shocked.
And I'm even on top of that, I'm watching YouTube videos on it too. Like I cannot get enough of it.
I'm not going to lie. That sounds really boring.
It does. Out of my mouth, it sounds terrible. But like actually playing, you start with this really tiny, crappy truck, and you go to these storage auctions and you win. And you have to somehow like Jenga your way. I don't know if Jenga is the right word, but you've got to like throw all of this awkward crap on top of your truck, try to balance it, and then hop into your truck quickly before it falls. Because magically, once you hop into your truck, it glues in place. And then you drive to like the pawn shop, try to sell it. So between like the auctions themselves, identifying what you got and finding some weird, crazy, cool shit, it's so addicting.
It's a lot like Supermarket Simulator, where weirdly enough, that should be the most boring game ever, but I love playing it and people love watching it. I don't know if it's just I don't run a very good supermarket. Maybe that's why people watch it, but it is weirdly interesting.
Mark, storage hunt with me.
It sounds judgy, but I'm a big fan of like farm sim and games of that nature. I think specifically it's the storage unit thing. That gives me anxiety. Both because it's a big pile of shit, which is just like a lot and kind of annoying and intimidating looking, but also because those things are so gross in real life. And it's not the people's fault. Storage units just get gross, especially if they get left for a while. You get rats, water leaks in. It's just like, I know it's a video game, and so it's not. But just the whole notion of that. Because I would play Supermarket Sim. That does look fun. I've watched that. It looks fun.
You should play Storage Hunter Sim.
But the storage one, it just makes me feel yucky.
There's different tiers of items from like broken quality all the way up to like legendary quality. I found a riding mechanical bull in one the other day.
Who do you sell that to? Pawn shop? I don't feel like a real pawn shop would buy that.
Well, this one did. And you know why? Because I owned it. And I was like, we are listing this, boys.
All right.
I bought it for myself, and then I bought it from me, and then me's gonna sell it to someone.
I want to test something out here, Bob. May I test something? Wade, I found this business for sale, and I think we should all go in on it. It's a pawn shop.
No, that's a terrible idea.
All right, I knew it.
But video game pawn shop? Dude, I am so in, girlfriend.
I found a business, Wade. It is a video game pawn shop. We just all gotta chip in evenly. Starts out at a cool $4 million, split for 3 ways. Fourth with the mysterious fourth member.
Yeah. Hey, fourth person, you want in on this? Yes, I'm in.
Oh, I'm busy that day, but I'll get you on the next business venture.
No one's going to comment on the fact that's the first time the fourth person ever talked.
I don't think that was actually the fourth member, but
I'm in, Mark. You know me. I'm always in.
all right, it was just a test. I don't have one for sale, but it would be cool business if we just had that.
I don't know that a pawn shop's the way I'd want to go because you have to like appraise and value. I'm more interested in the theater than I would be the pawn shop. Someone comes in with like a diamond. They're like, here, you want my diamond? We're like, yeah, we'll sell it. And then we find out like it's plastic. It's green. It was never a diamond. How did you do this? You fool.
You just get one of those diamond testers that those.
Don't they bite them in their teeth?
Yeah, they have real diamond grills on, and that's how they're all beep. Just get that for every type of thing. Diamond tester, mechanical bull tester, replacement hip tester. Because, you know, pawn shops get a lot of those.
I got a mechanical bull guy. Let me give him a call.
Guys, I need to sell my pacemaker.
I got a pacemaker guy. Let me call him up.
Weirdly, and this isn't everyone, those two are the same guy. I know that seems like a coincidence, but he just has very specific and diverse interests.
Next on MTV, Pimp My Pacemaker.
All right, my turn.
I don't really have anything new going on, so yeah, I guess you can go. Mark, you got some stuff?
You know how in the last episode I was talking about a good knife, right? I was trying to get something that was like I could go out in the woods, hack a tree down.
And you took my advice?
Nope, went straight to Amazon and I bought this.
Oh,
It doesn't look very sharp.
why does it have a phone holster attached to it? What is that? Editors, blur that.
Does it have a scope?
Oh, yeah.
Really aim your stabbing.
I'll get to this feature later, but let me walk you through. So I was trying to look up steel, right? And nothing is more enigmatic than going down that rabbit hole. Like the people that actually know steel are very angry with everyone else that knows steel. No group, I think, has more infighting than the steel community because there's so many different types and they all have like little benefits and not benefits. Some are really expensive but very hard. Some are hard to sharp. Some don't retain their edge, but they're all just like steel with different amounts of different alloys and stuff like that. This is something, that's why I went back to, I was like, I'm never going to be able to get an answer. I went to Amazon and I was like, this is a goodly reviewed one. So this is D2 steel.
Couldn't shell out for D1 steel?
Steel community, get him. I can't believe it was D2.
I can't believe you'd buy anything made of D2 steel.
Literally, that is probably going to happen. People are going to be like, D2, this son of a bitch hates every minority or something like this. That's what people are going to say.
That's the most inhumane kind of steel there is.
And I don't know why I'm a terrible person for having this other than it's an Amazon knife. But it just seemed, it was well reviewed and everyone was like, hey, it cuts things. And I'm like, that's what I was looking for. Segue into my other topic. You want to know what this is?
Isn't that a fire steel?
It's a fire starter. Speaking of fire.
Hey, wait a minute. Show that to camera. Is that used? What have you been doing over there?
No.
It looks a little blurry to me. They say fire steels get blurry when they get used.
They self-censor when they get used, yeah. Like the Sims going in a shower. No, so yeah, there was fires. It was a crazy time. So for those who don't know, we didn't have an episode today because I was evacuated. Actually, specifically that day, I didn't have power.
Yeah, we were going to record, and then literally the morning of, you were like, well, they cut off our electricity. You thought that was going to be the worst thing that happened that week.
Also, we mean our yesterday, not yours. If this comes out today, wow, what a turnaround.
So now I'm going to take you back in time to last Tuesday for me, which was, what day was that?
The 7th.
Right. So the 7th, the power was out. So I was like, I'll go run some errands. And as I was driving out, I saw this plume of smoke in the distance. And I was like, that's weird. I know that they said it was a red flag warning. So when the windstorm came in, which was really unprecedented, like that morning, the wind was gusting up to 80 miles an hour where we were, which was just really intense. And then there was a lull. It said there was going to be a lull in the wind for a few hours. So I was like, okay, I'll go out and run some errands, get some supplies if our power's out, make sure we have some water and whatnot. And I saw a plume of smoke in the distance. And I called Amy. I'm like, hey, what's going on? There's some smoke. And she said the Palisades were on fire. So at this point, the Palisades had already been burning all day. Someone reported a fire in the Pacific Palisades at 10:15 a.m. At 10:33, firefighters started diverting resources. There were some other small fires going on in the area, but this was obviously the big one. And so this was what I saw. And I went out around like noon or 1 o'clock. And so what's weird is I didn't know about the fire until then, probably because I wasn't tuned into the right channels. I wasn't listening to the right things. But I went out and I came back and I was like, oh, and as I was driving back, the winds were picking up. So we kind of shelter up, and I didn't realize how bad it was going to be even for over there until the day progressed, right? So as the day progressed, we started to get notice of this app called Watch Duty, which I think I talked to you guys about. Great app. I never knew about it before, but it specifically is like user reported and also integrates official reporting of fires, locations, updates, evacuation zones, evacuation orders. You can check out Fire Watch trail cams. You can see some of the trails that are coming up here. And I'm going to jump ahead in time a little bit because I want to show you a picture of one of the trail cams, right? This one actually is not Pacific Palisades. This is the Eaton one, which was close to us. So here's you see like this is a trail cam, and then this shows like where the trail cam's pointing, and then it also has another camera on it. I don't know if you can see that. That's just fire. So this is an imagery from one of the trail cams, and its last captured image is just roaring flames up on the camera, which was just crazy to see. I couldn't even wrap my heads around what was going on there, but that's a little ahead of time. And then I realized like, oh, it's on fire. So that evening, January 7th, still Tuesday, we kind of prepped some things to go. We're like, okay, we should probably be ready because there wasn't a fire near us just yet. We did not know about it. But when the Eaton fire broke out, I could see it from my window. Like I could legitimately, from the moment that it was starting to grow a little bit bigger, like on the hillside in the distance, like I might like have a circle about like my hands clasped together. But if you were looking at a mountain on the other side and you clasp your hands together and you look through your hands like that, a patch that big on the mountain is burning fire. It was scary, but we didn't evacuate just yet. We kind of like prepped everything. We left the house just out of precaution. We were kind of like waiting to see what was going to happen because it was all about the wind blowing. But then when we gathered up with Ethan and we were just like hanging out, and they were like, okay, let's go back and let's see. We don't know where it's going to end up. We don't know what's going on. We started really following the Watch Duty app, and we had not been evacuated at that point. We weren't even a warning because they do a warning zone and then an evacuation that's closer in. So they stagger it like that. They do a warning, you're up, you're on deck, you might need to go. And then it's like, this place needs to go, this place needs to go, and go. So at 2 a.m., I basically was like, I'll just stay up all night so I can keep watch of everything and I can report it. So at 2 a.m. I actually brought out my red camera and I put a 200 millimeter Minolta on that bad boy, and I got some really good footage of the fire that I haven't offloaded. I would show you, but it's just a fire that's creeping. But it was cool to see because I could see it progressing, right? So I took a 5-minute clip, and reminder, the wind is blasting. So I'm holding my camera outside, hoping a branch doesn't hit the lens, pointed at the other hillside, and I'm just like trying to brace it for a steady shot. So it's a little shaky. Like it's the kind of wind where Chica and Henry, their fur is just like all the way back, and they're just like, what's happening? But with the smoke and the ash, we were trying to avoid getting them outside, so we're kind of sheltered up. Around 4 a.m., 2 hours later, I'd still been staying up. I was just debating going to sleep because I was like, I don't know if anything's going to happen. Bwah, bwah. Like all of our phones, like Catherine was staying over as well. So it was like Amy, myself, and Catherine, and all of our phones were like, ging, ging, ging. And it was, you're on deck for evacuation. Our zone turned yellow, and it's like, oh, holy shit. So we start throwing bags in the car, piling everything up as best we can. And then by the time we were packed, it turned red. Like Ooh. We were already gonna go, and we're just like, fuck. And then we head out, and we drove down. We stayed with some friends. But yeah, from 4 a.m. till about 3 days ago, we weren't able to come home because we just didn't know where this fire was going to go. There was a distinct possibility that the fire would spread beyond containment if the winds kept up. If the winds had kept up, I don't think my house might not still be here, despite their best efforts, because they couldn't fly planes in the winds, and that was the biggest problem. They could not do any water drops from the air, which is like the main way that they're able to contain and control the spread and travel of the fire. And so it kind of just swept through all of us of a place called Altadena. Altadena is like north of Pasadena, Altadena. And it's a very old neighborhood. As I was saying in a video update that I made, it's an extremely old neighborhood with a lot of very old houses of families that have been there a very long time. It has a lot of history. There's a huge amount of history there. Fire just plowed right through there, all along the ridgeline. Like there's a satellite image that shows the before and after of like before the fire and after the fire. And it's just like it's gone. Like it's just gone. Looking at that, we just had no idea how far it was going to spread because it just seemed like they were not able to do anything. And there's a lot of people that are talking about like, oh, it's like a mismanagement of resources, yada, yada. When the winds are that strong, there is nothing that you can do. Amy showed me a clip. This puts it into perspective of just how like this is what it was.
Yeah, I've seen other clips of like close to the action and close to the fire type stuff, and even further away, it's insane how many embers were just getting absolutely blasted, like way up into the air, way far from the fire, and then they traveled so quickly that they were still like,
what the fuck? It's a gaming controller? This was shared to me. This is not my history. I have no idea what the fuck this is. This is. Hang on, editors, you might need to.
You're gonna want to blur.
Oh, Mark's history is kind of weird.
That's a cool game, Mark. We're gonna have to. If you could share that with me later.
I swear to God, that's what it autoplayed to. What the fuck? God, I know my next impossible Let's Play.
The no hands challenge.
What was I? Oh yeah, the wind. Anyway, yeah, there was just like fire embers were just like falling from the sky in places where the fire was close, but like it wasn't like the front lines of the fire. People are just like there's one that was going around that was like a McDonald's, I think, in Altadena. The McDonald's, like an ember had landed and the sign and part of the front of McDonald's was on fire, and it was just like it looked like it was fake because it was like hurricane winds, and the fire was like, just chill out, I'm on fire already, like fuck. That's enough wind. And the wind was like, yeah, we're doing this. The videos of that sort of stuff is like unreal, because that's not what it usually looks like. I've seen a lot of, when we lived in the Bay Area, we were fairly close. We were in the yellow get ready to evacuate zone for like a week, and so I saw a lot of clips of fires and people fighting wildfires. Never looked like that. None of the stuff that we experienced when we were up there looked like that at all.
That's the important thing that people need to realize in this context. It is not an exaggeration to say that these were hurricane force winds. It was as if a hurricane rolled in and instead of rain, it was fire. That's legitimately what it was. When these fires were cropping up, and there's some allegedly arson that was occurring, which, you know, I don't know exactly specifically what the circumstances of that is. You know, everything is still trying to be figured out. One of them seems to be an electrical fire. It seems like Eaton was, there's some video that came out that was Eaton was definitely starting around the base of a large power transformer, which is for transfer across large distances, which was a definite risk of all this. That's what people were most worried about, is that the wind was going to knock down power poles in random locations, and that was causing a downed electrical line, which was going to spark, which obviously can start a fire, and that was the largest concern. The problem is you don't have eyes everywhere, so the reporting of it had to be largely from citizens just being like, there's a fire over there. So the sources of it are indeterminate to the result of it at this point. Right now at this juncture. Down the road, blame can be assigned and sources can be met, but it should be reiterated, just to combat anything out there, that there was nothing that could have been done in the moment. Preventative is another question, but even the best laid plans in the face of an unprecedented event like this are really kind of go to shit. A lot of the firefighters were even saying, as they were progressing through the Altadena fires, like, we train for, residential fires all the time, but for a typical house fire, they need 3 engines, right? 3 engines. There were 5,000 houses on fire. There aren't enough firefighters in the state there aren't enough fire trucks in the state, definitely, to assign 15,000 fire trucks to each house to contain that kind of fire. That just is unfeasible. You can't prepare for that. You can't train for that. Getting it beforehand is another thing. But again, with the winds, no drops, no air support at all is possible, and that's like the main objective and the main weapon against trying to fight these fires. And again, I'm not an expert, but I've learned a lot in the past few days about how these are done, and I've seen firsthand of what it was all about. It was ridiculous. The biggest difference between the spread of these fires, I think, did you guys see the Hollywood Hills fire that started after the Eaton fire?
A little bit, yeah.
I've seen a lot of clips, but I don't know one from the other from what I've seen.
So I watched this unfold live with the other people that we're sheltering up with. We watched it from the very beginning, the first moment, because the Watch Duty app said immediately there is a new fire within a certain mile radius of where you are. So we turned on the news and we could see there was a chopper on the scene looking at it, being like, this fire is a problem. He was literally calling out that street. Because it was so close to everything else. That street right there, they need to evacuate. Like, he was calling it and saying it with that urgency. But the difference being, the winds were calm enough that air support could get in there. And even though they did evacuate a lot of the area as a precautionary measure, and again, anyone that gets pissed off at an evacuation, it's an inconvenience where the worst case scenario is you die. So, it being delayed a little bit or inconvenience.
No, Mark. We need to politicize this. I think that's the right way to handle any kind of catastrophe or tragedy, is political.
Yeah, and our political correspondent, Wade, will now take it over.
Yeah, I can't believe the propaganda. The fire voted wrong in the last election, and honestly, it's their fault. That fire'd still be going if they'd voted correctly.
I believe in fire rights.
Fire 2026.
Yeah, isn't that like the 29th Amendment, fire rights?
Sure.
They have their own festival that I hear is pretty successful.
Anyway, the difference being they could make airdrops on that fire. So I saw them, and there were some good drops. Have you guys seen any of the clips of like the water drops that just poof extinguish a whole hillside? Oh,
those clips go so hard. Have you seen any of the like cockpit footage?
I saw one.
Dude, the guys in they're like DC-10s, I think, or they're like big planes where they come in and from the cockpit, it looks like they're just flying at the ground. And the guy is just like, and at the last second, they're just like, yeah, they push the button. It looks fucking crazy. Like, I'm sure it's all very controlled because they're professionals, but even the video is like, holy shit, that's how I would do that in a video game. That shit's crazy.
It's that crazy, I'm sure, but they're very skilled at what they do. And what I was told that I never even considered is as they're dropping, they have to change their trajectory based on the different weight dropping out of the ship. So they gotta anticipate that, know exactly what correction to make as the water is leaving, because the weight of the plane is just like dropping like a rock or like a giant pile of water. They're very, very good at what they do. It is incredible. And just like again and again, just like boom, 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 scoop up more water, boom, boom, boom. Like it is nuts. And it's just weird to think about, because with the Eden fire, you had 5,000 houses that burned down. Palisades was bigger. is bigger, still is happening right now as I'm speaking. The Palisades is not contained. It is in a better situation than it was before, but it is absolutely not contained. Same with the Eden Fire. It's not contained. They report containment by literally going, because they can contain it based on like controlling the spread. So that's when they create a perimeter that it can't cross. And they're like, this is contained. But they cannot declare it contained until they go around there and physically check to make sure there are no hotspots spreading past their containment line. So it takes a while to get the containment, but even now, like the Palisades was more, it was bigger. So anyone that was like, that's ever saying like, oh man, they didn't have enough water, or like Elon making an ass out of himself in front of the LA fire chief.
Oh, I got a side tangent about that, man.
God, that was so, and like he's still going. Even right now, he's still yammering on, just lie after lie, and so many people are just...
Did you see, this is unrelated to the fires, but did you see his Path of Exile 2 drama?
Oh, yeah, I've seen that.
I watched a Path of Exile 2 content creator like, all right, I'm going to make Elon's build. What you need to do is worry about item level and number of things. Just watching him, it was so funny watching him like very obviously take an account that someone else had boosted for him and he had no idea what he was doing. He's like, I need this white crossbow in my inventory.
His Elden Ring build should have been the most obvious of terrible skills in gaming.
He had a stash tab named Elon's Maps or whatever. He's like, yeah, guys, this is a hardcore grind I've been doing for a while. I named a stash tab after myself.
Hey, maybe he's just like that. Maybe his whole life is filled with Elon's things. You don't know. Inside his Tidy Whitey's band, it says Elon's underwear.
I'm sure he's done lots of good, but man, whew.
Anyway, it's what needs to be reiterated over and over and over again is unprecedented. That is the biggest thing to say about this entire situation. The amount of trucks, the amount of hoses, the amount of water being drawn from the reservoirs is unprecedented. Water pressure obeys the laws of physics, and reservoirs are of a certain size. No matter what you can say or whatever have you, there's a physical limitation. And when you're fighting with something of this unprecedented amount, you can say for sure that there should have been more preparation. Absolutely. But to get to the level of preparation you would need to combat an unprecedented challenge is not within Six Sigma declaration of statistical probability that you would account for normally. It just isn't there, or it wasn't there. And it's not something that is helpful right now when the most important thing is that the fires are still not out and there is another wind event coming along, and yet people are just like, for no reason other than petty personal political gain.
No. The problem is we pay people a livable working minimum wage when we should be building lasers that shoot water at California and these kind of things.
Cold lasers. I've always said it. We should figure that out.
Moon lasers that shoot water, but no, instead people gotta eat food or whatever.
They need to hire that Ice to Meet You guy from those movies. Where is he at these days? What's he doing?
You mean the governor? He used to be there.
If the governor was still in office, none of this would be happening, I assume.
I can't think of a good political name for Mr. Freeze.
Mr. Spending Freeze.
The Governezer? No, that doesn't work.
I'm sorry. Is he in A Christmas Story? Who's Governezer Scrooge?
God freeze you, everyone.
This is the thing that made me laugh. Feels weird to find comedy in it, but one of my favorite things I think I've seen is there's been a lot of shit online of people being completely lacking any empathy whatsoever for anyone, especially people who are in the Palisades area, because people outside of the situation are just like, aren't they all just rich movie stars? Just shut up and buy another $1 million mansion, like whatever. It's not like I don't understand why people feel that way, but no, everyone who lives in Pacific Palisades is not in the 1%, can buy anything they want. It's not like that. But there was this one guy, and I'm sorry, I don't remember your name, which is funny, but apparently he was on like a TV show like a while ago, like 15 years ago. He was on a successful TV show, and since then he hasn't like done too much. He's been laying low, doing whatever, sort of half retired celebrities do. And he posted social media, and he was like, for the last 2 decades, since I finished my role on TV show, everyone's been telling me I'm washed, I'm nobody, I'm a C-lister, and now, thanks to this fire, suddenly I'm a huge multi-millionaire. I'm a douchebag who should just go buy another mansion. What a rebrand. I did not expect Pacific Palisades Fire to be such a powerful rebrand for my persona, but man, am I somebody now.
I can't. Yeah, it's the cognitive dissonance to try to lump this entire experience into one category that you can point people at and be like, hate this thing. This is why this is bad. And it's a strategy that's been employed for many, many years, that is just like create an enemy so that people can focus their anger upon. When in reality, that's not the situation. People lose sight of the fact that there is families that have lost everything. There are people that have lost their lives that have, of all party affiliation, of all political spectrum. Like, you actually have an example of the Palisades, because even if you think of them as like a rich town with all the celebrities and millionaires and we shouldn't care about them, then you have Altadena over here, which is historically family homes of lower income, of normal, quote unquote, everyday American lives, even if they live in LA, because LA is so big, people don't have any context of what it is. These are on opposite ends of the city.
Everyone in LA is a billionaire. We all know it. The worker at McDonald's in LA clearly live in a mansion, and they're like, I'm just so rich, I want to go make burgers. I'm so rich, I want to go do X job, you know.
Yeah, there's like mom and pop small businesses over there in Altadena that are burned to the ground, that have been there for 40 something plus years. Many, probably more. No, even if it was a 20-year business, that doesn't discredit it from being like a historical piece of that community. And they're gone. Like, they're just gone. And it doesn't matter who they believed in, because there's people out there that are just like shouting at how they're wrong for what they've lost and not even focusing on any effort to help them rebuild. Meanwhile, here in California, it's like a battle of trying to fend off like, no, that's not, we're on fire. Hey, hold on, please. And then trying to like,
you did this to you. Slap.
Yeah, exactly. That's what it is. Yeah, it doesn't matter. Look, I'm an Ohio native, but I've been here in California for like 10 years. And one thing that I will say is like the people of this city, Los Angeles specifically, I can't speak to other cities, is like they really, really love their city. They really, really are prideful of what they have and what they've lost. And the beautiful thing is how many people have come together to contribute to those who are actually affected, the actual physical help that is occurring. That's what people should focus on, where meanwhile everyone else is playing a blame game while there's people suffering. Some people are still, they don't have a home, they don't have a place to go, they're in a shelter now, and for the indeterminate future they're going to stay there. Like, rebuilding is going to take years. Even if it doesn't rebuild in the exact same way, trying to make sure that it rebuilds in a way that is actually conducive to the type of people that were living there. I mean, financially, you know, instead of becoming like big mega apartments or big, you know, huge mega mansions, which it wasn't. That's not what it was.
This is a very background thing for me, but I can only imagine in terms of the kind of peril that LA and the real estate that was affected by the fires is in right now, because all of the huge development companies who like to turn everything into ugly, nondescript apartments and more parking lots and shopping centers and shit are looking at this and they're like, ooh, these people who've owned this house since it was a $200,000 house and now it's like a $1.5 million house, or I don't know if that's accurate, but like, right, the people, these regular Americans who own these houses who are not millionaires bought them. Well, they were still expensive, but they were in a big city and they bought them back before they were $1 million houses. They still can't afford to just buy $1 million house. There's a lot of people who, if they don't get some sort of assistance and if it doesn't coalesce in a way, companies are just going to swoop in, buy their valuable property and turn it into more corporately developed garbage that is, you know, is going to sort of ruin some of these very old communities potentially. That's very back burner because there's literally still fire on the ground consuming more people's businesses and houses and stuff. That's a serious threat, and that would be very sad in some of these places where it really was like family businesses, local stuff, communities that are now, that hopefully they can rebuild, and it'll still be a great community. It'll just have to be new.
Well, it doesn't have to happen if people pay attention, especially to the local communities, because cities, they are in control of their zoning, and they can shoot down, and all these projects would have to be submitted for approval. And if they don't get approved, they don't get built there unless there's bribes going on. But I think with this, there is a strong way to make sure that the people who are easily forgotten are actually taken care of. But that's only by holding that thought in your mind for a very long time, that's what needs to happen. And so that's something that I'm hopefully going to be a part of as much as I can. Otherwise, I'll just keep my chainsaw and I'll keep hacking at trees.
Hey, you can snipe them now with your knife.
Yeah, with my knife, with my scope. You should see the scope on my chainsaw. That thing, woof.
In a related horrible note, here in Cincinnati, we had 2 feet plus of snow.
What?
While you guys were burning, we got dumped on with like one of the bigger snows we've had in years.
2 feet?
I believe it was between 20 and 26 inches.
Where we are on the way on the north, almost northwest, it was more like 8 inches to a foot.
Even that, though, I can't tell you the last time I was in Cincinnati and there was that much snow. 3-4 inches, sure, that happened.
This was like in a 24-hour period. Like this was a quick, big dump.
Holy shit.
With our little dachshunds, with Presley and Ginger, I was out there shoveling, I think like 7 times, so they had a place to go potty. And it's like we would shovel, and there'd be half an inch where I started because it was just coming down so quickly. I don't know that anything major happened because of it. I was kind of like, in jest. We did get one of the bigger snows we've had in a very long time. And then 4 or 5 days later, we got like another 3 or 4 inches. So then it warmed up for a couple of days. So then it kind of like condensed. Now it's kind of like that more compact snow. I mean, at the very least, it was 18. We had at least 1.5 to 2 feet of snow on the ground.
And, it's a crazy thing where I'm like, okay, let's not be political about this. But some of these things should not be political at all. Like climate change, right?
I don't know, man. Our snow was pretty communist. It was working together in ways that I didn't like.
I love you, Wade.
Sorry, anyway, go ahead.
All of it centered on like, oh man, they're just like, it's a conspiracy. They're just lying to you. And I just keep looking around and I'm like, what's the lie? What do they gain from the lying of this? Oh, at worst, they're like, we want people to not die from increasing severity of natural disasters. And who is telling this perspective of it? It all comes from like the same group of people, which is like, coal and oil companies. And it's like, I wonder why they're saying it's not real. Have you guys had an electric vehicle? They're fucking awesome. It's way better. Man, let me tell you, I finally traded out my Tesla.
Ooh.
I did it specifically because all this was happening. I've been meaning to do it forever. I've hated that son of a bitch for years. I hated it since the moment I got it.
Didn't it break immediately?
It broke immediately.
At least it was cheap to fix.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Well, it was under warranty, thankfully, but getting into an approved shop to do that, well, that was a different story. Man, the suspension broke within the first 100 miles. Their fancy suspension broke. They installed the wrong part for the charging port so that the Tesla chargers didn't fit in it. I had to crack it by physically pushing it so hard. It split it, and then it fit in and it worked perfectly. Because otherwise I would have been stranded in the middle of winter, in the middle of nowhere at this 4-bay Tesla charger with nothing. So I shoved it in there. I've hated it. The suspension is broken like 4 times. The last time was out of warranty, and I had to be like, I have to get rid of this piece of shit. You know what I got instead?
Tell me you didn't get a Mach-E.
No, I didn't. I did not get a Mach-E.
American car.
I did get an American car.
Did you get a Cadillac Lyric?
Nope. You're not going to guess it because it doesn't seem like a vehicle I would get.
Did you get a Rivian R1T?
Ford F-250.
Ford Lightning?
Ford Lightning!
Oh, hell yeah.
I never thought I'd be a truck guy. I got a Ford F-150 Lightning because I looked at the specs of what it could do in terms of power delivery. The size of the battery is way bigger than the Teslas ever were. The range is not a lie. Those Teslas all lie about their range. It just blew my mind. I would watch it and I would go like, I've traveled 10 miles. Well, surely it's dropped 30 miles. All right, well, that's fine. It said I had like a 300-mile range on my Tesla. I got 180 at best, even when I was driving like this. It's just lies. But this one, I drive 10 miles, and it's like the range estimate only dropped 8, and I'm like, oh, thank you. Oh, thank you.
Now, hold on. The Tesla wasn't lying. Someone took the road signs and spread them out further. That wasn't the Tesla's fault.
It's crazy because this truck has a 240-volt plug in the back of it. I could run my render farm off of this truck. This truck has more power than all of my backup batteries that I put in my render farm by 3 times.
I want to see a Ford commercial with like a really nerdy dude driving his Ford Lightning with the render farm. He's like off-roading in the mud through the woods while like video game let's plays are like processing in the back.
I could. That's the crazy thing. I could. And so it's a weird segue from like climate change stuff, but it's like on the flip side of it is like the negative of clean energy stuff is that it's awesome. I've driven a regular Ford F-150 and it's a big beefy truck, and I didn't like to drive that for any other reason because it was just like it's not practical. Now I have to haul shit all the time because I've got desks that I'm moving all over the place, and I've got like other big things, and I was out there with my chainsaw. I had tools that I needed to bring. I was like, this actually makes sense. And if I'm evacuating, I want a big bed so I can actually take my shit and go. So I was like, I'm gonna do this. I got it. That thing, my God, I press on the panels inside of it. They don't squeak. The Tesla sucks so bad. It's so bad. It's so bad. And I had a Model X. I didn't have like the cheap version of it.
You should have gone Cybertruck.
Yeah, that's probably your problem right there. If you had just gotten to a Cybertruck, Mark, that's the ultimate Tesla experience.
You know what I do every time we drive by a Cybertruck? We used to do this even before I had F-150 Lightning. We go to Cybertrucks. Really pisses people off. Way more than the middle finger. You give someone a thumbs down, they get so mad. And so now that I'm in my Lightning, if I haven't had it happen yet, but if I pull up next to a Cybertruck, I'm just gonna go, oh, you had to settle for that. Oh man. Because it's in every metric, in every single metric, it's a better vehicle. Why would you do that? Even if you liked the styling, on specs, anyway, I'm segueing. This is not important. God, I fucking love it.
This is like the most political, non-political episode we've ever done.
Yeah. It shouldn't be, though. It shouldn't be. It shouldn't be. Have you seen solar power? I just got a bunch of solar panels. It's so much cheaper than ever.
Whoa, dude.
Oh my God.
You're crossing a line here.
It's just better. It's instantly faster than any other F-150 out there. It's just better. And now with fast charging, let me tell you, my Tesla, it can charge like 120 kilowatts. This thing can charge 320 kilowatts.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Oh, it can charge fucking fast, way faster than my Tesla did. Now, admittedly, my Tesla was older, so it probably didn't have the fast charging, but there's some stations out there that have 320 kilowatt charging, or amp, I'm not sure which. It's just better. It's just better. It can fill that bad boy up to 80% in like 15 minutes, which I did that a bunch on international trips or national trips, and it would take like 45 minutes to an hour every single time I wanted to charge just to 80 in my Tesla.
Good Lord.
And so that was the road trip. That's why I didn't do the road trips anymore with that.
We have a Model Y because we got the financing, and then we don't need a pickup truck because I was shopping for Rivians and F-150 Lightnings and whatnot. But ours goes from like 20 to 80% in like 7 minutes on the top tier supercharger.
It's probably the new ones that I couldn't get to. So maybe,
but ours is a 24. So your X being older, it probably had the shitty charging.
It definitely
and it had a bigger battery than ours has. But the range is still an issue because ours is a fucking liar too. We don't even leave the miles on. We leave the percentage because it's like it's more valuable for you to just know where we're at because it doesn't mean anything for how far that's going to get us.
It means nothing. And I think
you just keep track of like when we don't even. It's not like we road trip it or anything, so it's not a huge thing. But for around town, it's great.
Wade, Man, cannot recommend. If you haul anything in your life, and you know what better way to get revenge on that truck that took out your car? Your own truck.
I need a semi Lightning.
That's a Tesla. You don't want. I don't know about that one.
No, what you want to look up is Edison Motors. That's a nice it's a hybrid electric truck company, but it's a diesel. So this is a thing I've always wondered why people didn't do this, and they're starting to do it more. It has an engine. It has a diesel engine in the front that only generates electricity. Otherwise, it's a fully electric drivetrain with fully electric motors. There's no diesel drive. But so the range on it is infinite because the diesel just kicks on, generates power.
It only costs like $6,000 to get a commercial driver's license.
Yeah, get a CDL and then talk to Edison Motors. They're not in production yet, so you'd have to get a special pre-production. I'm sure they could slap something together for you. This is totally random and not related to anything we're talking about. Edison Motors seems like a great company. It's cool the way they're building their trucks too. Almost all of the main chassis components are bolt-on. So like if you bend a frame rail, if you have an accident and something happens, almost every part you could probably unbolt it, buy the part you need from them, bolt it all back together, brand new truck. It's designed in a way where like they're very right to repair positive. I don't know what the term is for that, but they want people to fix their own shit. They will sell you the part and they want you to be able to do it. Cool company. I have no need for an industrial semi-truck hybrid electric. Seems awesome.
I just want like an SUV of some kind. I want a little bit more cargo space, but I want more people space.
Yeah. Well, I mean, my F-150, they make it as a dual 4-door. It's as big as a vehicle. The thing that's taking some getting used to with the truck is that it is longer. I have driven an F-150 in LA before, so I'm used to it a little bit. But it does take. So in Cincinnati, you'd be fine. What are you worried about?
Like 60% of the cars on the road in Cincinnati are either Ford F-150s or Chevy Silverados. So
you know what's the Chevy Silverado? Now that you mention it, hey, I'm brand agnostic.
The Silverado EV. Did you look at it?
I didn't after I bought the Ford F-150.
Because I was going to say that was my next guess for what EV you got. Honestly, the Chevy Silverado EV looks very cool.
I almost have a little bit of buyer's remorse because the Ford F-150 has a 131 kilowatt battery. The Chevy has a 200 kilowatt hour battery with a 490 mile range, and it has more power in its outlets. And I'm just like, ooh.
Did you see the way the bed works on the Chevy too?
No. God, did I buy the wrong truck?
No. Listen, the F-150 Lightning is still awesome, but the way the Chevy works, the back of the cab, it's a 4-door, right? So it's there's a full bench in the back. The back of the cab folds in. So like the seats fold down, the back folds in, and you get like 3 or 4 extra feet of space. And also it's open out the back then. So it's like,
oh, like it's got a pass through.
The glass, no, like it goes away. It's not even like some of it opens. You pop the glass out, you fold the seats down, you stow the glass, and then you fold the bottom half down. And it's like the whole back wall is gone of the cab. And that's all just becomes bed space. And it's open to the outside. It's cool as shit.
Chevy, hey, listen, baby. I know I just got a Ford, but
I've not had a car in 5 years.
Yeah, and you're never going to get one, so no one's going to believe you anyway.
I've been trying, man.
Look, wait, I bought my truck, okay? I bought it, all right? I asked them to go quickly. It took still 3 hours, but I was like, hey, I was in and out of there. No time. You can do it.
I don't know what kind of like picky shit we have, but we've been trying to get a car. Molly and I have been trying to get a car since June of last year.
What do you mean trying? You just go and you drive it. You go, do I like it? Yeah. Bye.
We were looking at the Lexus TX Hybrid, which is like a 7-seater SUV, and they had a recall right after we were trying to get one because of an airbag issue. And they were like, hey, we're going to put you on this list. We're going to call you. It'll be maybe like 2 or 3 months. That was in June of last year. Then they had the recall. We talked to them again in October. They're like, hey, we fixed the issue. Give us like 2 weeks. We'll be calling you up. That was in October. And I've called, I've checked in, and no updates. We'll call you. When you're there in person talking about wanting a car, the guy's like, call me once a day if you want. You call me whenever you want an update. I will let you know you're top of the list. I call, same dude's like, I told you we'd call you. There's no update. I'm not selling you car right now, therefore I don't care.
I feel like if you actually really wanted a car, I know there are TXs rolling off of lots. You could have found the TX of your dreams.
Apparently not through the dealer.
Literally not in our neighborhood. They go to our grocery store. I noticed these things because I looked at the Lexuses.
I think Lexus hates me.
There's a brand new TX hybrid that parks at our Kroger all the time. They just got that son of a bitch.
It's probably the guy at our dealership and the one that we wanted. And he's like,
dude, if they hate you, why are you going back there?
Because I liked their car.
There's a lot of Toyota dealers. You know that, right? Like Toyota, Lexus, there's like 19 of them in Cincinnati.
My last car was an FRS I got at the Toyota dealer. It was technically a Scion, which is now gone. But
when I bought my first car, or the first car I could buy after like, hey, YouTube's making money and I don't have a car, I went to a Hyundai dealership and I talked to the guy and he was like, hey, you buying a car today? I was like, I just want to check out, what you got. He's like, I'm not going to sell you if you're not going to say you're going to buy. And so I was like, all right, goodbye. And I walked right out and I went down the street to the dealer across the way and I bought a car from them because I said, fuck that guy. And I was like a completely different car than I wanted, but I was just like, I don't have time to be talked down to by a salesman.
It's even different now because the post-pandemic way that they do cars, at least with Lexus, is they don't like have just bulk orders of cars now. They order them in a different way so that way they don't get fucked by like production or something again. So now apparently everyone has to wait like a year for a car. Because I was talking to another friend of ours about like a Chevrolet, and he's like, oh yeah, well the Chevrolet is 9 months out if you want to order one.
I just get to phrase it this way. I own very nice cars right now, and I'm a car guy. Why are you ordering one?
I don't know.
Just buy. There's no way that there's not a spec out there that you could just buy off a lot.
I need to take you with me next time I go car shopping because maybe you know more than I do.
Ordering a car from the manufacturer is a terrible way to do it.
I've not even intentionally tried to do it that way. They're just like, what are you looking for? I was like, seat that heats up is nice. A car with motor. These seats. All right, we're on a 4-month wait on that. And I was like, all right, well, okay.
I feel like he's gaslighting us, Mark. I feel like
I'm not.
You have to be, because I went there. I went to the store and I said, hey, do you have Lightnings? And he goes like, I think, is that one? He didn't even know, and he pointed at it like Lightning. And I was like, yeah, that says Lightning on the back. Can we check the specs? Sure. And we looked at the sticker together. He was like, that's a Lightning. All right, it's got a big battery. And I went, bye.
I'm being Truman Showed when it comes to car shopping.
I think you are. They all know. They want to keep the content going. They just want to keep you upset.
It is good content, but the content doesn't put money in my pocket of bitching about cars.
Bob, you put a bad thought in my head because did I buy I'm going to look at the Chevys now.
No, listen, Mark, don't save the Chevy upgrade for when you move to a place where you really need a Chevy, like Cincinnati.
They both start with C.
Where do I take my Ford?
Columbia. Florida.
Yeah, Florida is a real state.
What's Philadelphia?
I'm never going to own a pickup truck in my entire life, except maybe I will because I can't stop thinking about them. And the Chevy Silverado EV is fascinating. Also, the new Rivian's starting to roll out. The R2's out there. R3's coming. Those are not pickup trucks, but those are very...
I just don't like how they look.
Oh, I think they look sick.
Who makes a Rivian? What is a Rivian?
Rivian is the company. They're a smaller market share EV company, but they make some very cool trucks.
Smaller market share? That doesn't sound political enough for me.
Like, I'm not a truck guy. I've never been about like, I need a big truck. But for what I'm doing nowadays with the amount of shit that I'm dragging around, it actually makes sense. And the amount of power, the power is the craziest part of that. I can load up my film equipment, go out to a random location in the middle of nowhere, never need a generator because I just plug it all into my truck.
That's true. For filming out in literally anywhere you want to be, that's pretty wild actually. Because you could probably plug a whole like studio grade power distribution block up thing, because they have those, right, where it's like a 240 into a whole thing, and you could probably run all that shit off of there forever. I mean, for quite a while. If
the way it is in my F-150, it's a 7.2 kilowatts out of the 240, which is enough to power pretty much everything you would ever need, plus charging a bunch of batteries. It has a 131 kilowatt hour battery, so it could run it for about 18 hours. everything if you were at max, which you're not going to be. So you would be running, it can run your house. That was the big selling point. If this Chevy has an even bigger battery and more power out, I might go take a look.
I don't know if the Chevy has the same generator output things that the Lightning has, because that was the big sales thing for the Lightning. Is literally, it's like power goes out, plug that shit into your house, power your whole house. Like I don't know that the Chevy does that. The Chevy is cool in different ways.
Can I make a bitching? I don't know what I just said.
Can you make a bitching?
Yeah, can I?
Please do.
Halogen lights. I don't know if it's me. Maybe I'm getting early onset cataracts or something. I don't know, man. But driving at night in the rain, we went down. So we've got friends that live down in like northern Kentucky. And we went down there for like a holiday party. And we were driving back and it was nighttime. It was raining. And let me just say, some of those roads also, the highway with the fucking divots that hold water when you're going like 60 miles an hour and you just out of nowhere hit a pocket of water that makes you feel like you're gonna go flying into the air. Fucking sucks. But vehicles with those bright ass fucking halogen lights that you can't tell if their brights are on or if they're just the bright fucking halogen lights that make it where you can't see anything as it approaches and can't see anything for 10 seconds after it leaves are the absolute worst. And whoever thought those were a good idea to put into vehicles, there better be a place in hell just like fucking booked for them in advance, like a goddamn restaurant table.
You know what's funny? It's potentially not even halogens. It was for a long time. Halogens were the big, it's LEDs.
Then those, whatever it is, can rot in hell.
Because halogens were bright, but they were a similar type of source to the, I don't know if they're incandescent, technically, the old school headlight bulbs. LEDs, the way they work, the origin of the light is so small that it makes it much more prone to like glare and lens flare effects and stuff.
Dude, it's so bad, especially if it's wet at all.
Dude, LED, especially non-diffused LED headlights, because you can diffuse them and that changes the nature of it a little bit. Non-diffused LED headlight arrays, scourge on the roads. They are a problem. And everyone is using LED headlights now. It's really unpleasant. To
be clear, I don't think I'm getting cataracts at 35 years old, but God, I hate those fucking lights.
It's also because I discovered this in my truck is they all start with the auto high beam on by default, and it will turn that shit on at every opportunity. And I'm like, these are houses I'm passing by. I am illuminating their entire bedroom with my truck. So I turn that shit off, but I guarantee you a lot of people don't. And that's also part of the problem is people just do not control their auto high beams. That is a scourge.
They are so goddamn bright that if you shine them up my asshole, I would open my mouth and spit out fucking beams of light like God himself was here. I hate those things. Anyway, I just wanted to make a bitching.
What was this episode about?
Fire.
Oh. We really just sort of went places.
We haven't talked in a while. We're buds catching up.
It's been over an hour of recording. I have a topic. I'm going to go ahead and say we'll save that one.
Oh, can I add one more thing?
Make a bitch, please.
The places to direct people that want to help in the relief efforts. I don't know that we threw any of that out. Perhaps we should. I
don't know if saying it means much, but the link will definitely be in the description of this episode. I'm assuming, right? But Mark knows.
I am not well versed enough to know exactly all of the resources. I do know the Tiltify one is vetted, and we've worked with Tiltify before, so they're at least a reliable source. And the organizations that they are supporting in that cause are good. So that I think is a good baseline to start with.
It's like a unified Tiltify campaign for the wildfire relief. That link will definitely be down there.
As far as everything else, it's a very individual thing. So supplies, the beautiful thing is a lot of the donation places, they're stocked to the brim. They're just absolutely stuffed. So that's great. I do like that. I'm happy about that. But as far as financial help for like the volunteers or the people working at these places, that does help too. And the efforts towards the communities, that's also good. So all that's very good.
Well, I did give out points. It felt weird to give points for this one, but I gave out points. And as is tradition, I guess I'm going to read what points you got. In no particular order, Wade, you earned points for Storage Hunter Sim.
Oh, dude, so good.
Political Fire. X Job. I don't know what that's about.
I don't either.
Totally gonna get a car someday, guys. Come on. Hey, don't talk like that. Hey, I'm gonna get one. It's really hard. Come on, guys. And halogen lights. Mark, you earned points for let's buy a pawn shop. A knife. A great segue to fire. The airdrop action stars buying an F-150 Lightning, but hey, Chevy, hey, and also auto high beams. Wade, you earned a total of 5 points. Mark, you earned a total of 7 points.
Yay!
It's not golf rules. Mark wins. How fucked up would it be to take the episode where Mark mainly talked about his experience fleeing the fires and trying to help people, and I was like, well, but Wade wins though because he was funnier. So
Sorry, Mark, your points were flammable. Wade wins.
I wouldn't have been that upset because it's precedented. There's precedent.
that's true.
I'm not sure what the equivalent precedent is, but I bet it's there.
Everyone out there, go back and rewatch all the episodes and tell us what the precedent was.
Wade, loser speech?
Look, I gave it my all. I've been shoveling a lot of snow and I've been hunting a lot of storage auctions. I can see why, in the greater scheme of things, Mark might win this episode. He did, after all, buy a new vehicle.
An easy task to accomplish. Anybody who's in the market for a car could almost definitely find one that they're looking for.
It was very easy. It was very easy.
I'm either gaslighting, being gaslit, or all of you, including my two co-hosts, are in some greater conspiracy to keep me from getting a vehicle, and I'm just being driven slowly insane by the madness that has ensued my attempt.
Calm down, Truman. Mark, winner speech?
Yeah, so link is in the description for the Tiltify campaign. I'm very grateful to win this episode, and you know, it was quite extenuating circumstances. There's still a lot to do. I'm hoping to carry this on, and I'm grateful for this win and to be here with my friends to talk about it. So that's what I'm grateful for.
All right. Well, congratulations. That's the end of the episode. I still don't remember everything that we talked about. I feel like we just had quite the journey. Thank you, everyone, for listening. Thank you even more for watching. You know who you are. This has been Distractible. Make sure that you check us out on social media and YouTube and Twitch and the stuff like that, because we all do that sort of stuff. And that's it. Thank you so much, everybody. See you in the next one. Podcast out.